Salam alaikum, buenos dias, buenos dias. How you guys doing? I pray you guys are doing great. Que Sambi la kutare, ya tu sabe. Peace and blessings. Most High bless, that power that be, whatever you may call it. I hope it's blessing you and giving you life to keep on striving. Nothing much, guys. Another day, another dollar. Philadelphia is, woo, today is a nice day. Woke up in the morning, kind of cool, but it's starting to warm up. The car says it's 64 degrees right now. But you can feel it. You can feel that sun beaming right through the window, hitting you in the face. But nothing much, guys. Same old, another day, another dollar, making the donuts. Coming in to speak about a topic that has spoke probably 2 or 3 times, but for some reason, some don't understand the concept and what really is going on. And I'm speaking about when we have names, right, for the Engangas. You usually hear Wateriamba, Mama Chola. You might hear Brazo Fuerte. You might hear Cubayende. You might hear Zarabanda. You might hear Siete Jayo and Sasi. You might hear Mama Chola. You might hear Madre Agua. You might hear Kalunga. You might hear different names that we call what in Cuba is called empungos. Empungos. Nkisi is more of an African Congo word, but we call them Nkisis also. But some prefer empungos. Empungos. There's a confusion on what's an empungo or what's an Nkisi. And I understand because I used to have this confusion. It wasn't clear to me. But we have to start realizing, understanding what are we working with and what does Palo consist of and what actually it is. An empungo is not a human being. It's not a saint. It's not a god. It's not a demigod. It's none of this. Siete Rayo, let's say we call it Enganga Siete Rayo, right? Sorry for that train going by. Amtrak. These are names that were given to represent a certain force, a certain energy, and a lot of the new practitioners, they think that by saying this name, or they look at the Enganga as this Enganga is actually that. In all true reality, it's not. These are names given to those Engangas representing a force. Siete Rayo is not human. Siete Rayo is a, let's just say, that's what we call the Enganga. Let's just say Siete Rayo is a force of nature, a phenomena that the muerto that's in the Enganga uses or represents itself as. Every Enganga has a force and forces of nature. Why I say a force and forces? Because every Enganga has a primary function with a primary force. But it doesn't take away the other forces that are introduced to that Enganga. And when I say Enganga, to that muerto that's in there. Because when you go to your Enganga and you go speak to it, Siete Chai is not talking to you. That force of nature is not the one talking to you. That force of nature is not the one resolving your problem. There's other forces that is not your Enganga, that if you're initiated and you have licencia and you have treaties, you could work with. But that's a different thing. That's for another day, another video, a long, long, long time from now. If I'm still here. We have to understand that when we go in front of the Enganga to do whatever we're going to do, whether to fix or to destroy, whether to help or not to, we have to understand that the one who's doing that is that muerto. Whether it was a female or male, because gender in the spiritual realm, for me, in the spiritual realm, for me, it's something a little complicated that I'm not going to get into. But what they were in life, we call them by that, or we know them by that, meaning gender in the spiritual realm, but it's a little complicated. So like I said, I'm not going to get into that. Now, that's one thing that we have to understand, and we have to get clear. Because if we keep thinking that when we call upon Siete Chayo, or we call upon Mama Chola, or Chola Wenge, or we call upon Ensasi, or we call Brazo Fuerte, that we are actually dealing with a spirit that is called that. And we are not. That's the reason why I always say don't confuse Nkisi Malongo with anything else. Give me 1 second, guys. Sorry about that, guys, but you know me, gotta do what I gotta do. I know a lot of them don't like me they want me to do videos home, but hey, this is my glitch. This is what I'm doing. This is how it started. This is how it's gonna be. Anyway, don't mix Palo and Kisi Malongo, whatever you call it. You want to call it Palo, call it Palo. You want to call it whatever, Palo Monte, whatever. To me, I'm clear of what it is. I don't need to linger around words and sayings and stuff like that, because I'm looking for what makes me a better practitioner and a better person, and that's it. The other stuff, that's like extra. I'm here learning and trying to learn the most important parts of Nkisi Malongo, of Palo. And that is knowing how can I tell you? Knowing how to, the word was here, but it just, how to implement the practice in real life. Not just speak about it. Know the concepts, because you can know the concepts, But where does that come from? And how do you apply it? Is what a lot of us need. Now, back to what I'm saying. En Nkisi, en Enganga, it's a receptacle where you put in certain things, where you embody that spirit with certain powers. They are from nature. With certain phenomena, they are from nature. And certain bilongo, certain other things that you use, and people use different types and many and whatever. That's something that's to each his own rama. But when you go there, you call your shetejayo, it's no problem. You could call it shetejayo. You could call it Mama Chola. Whatever Enganga you get, that's what it represents. You could call it that. It's not a big deal. But you have to always remember that who you are dealing with in the Enganga is a spirit. It's the muerto, the enfumbe, that's inside that receptacle. It's not the pot. It's not the dirt. It's not the sticks. It's none of the stuff that's in there you're dealing with. You're dealing with that muerto. And that muerto in that pot, with what it has been conformed and built with, whether it's the bilongo or whatever it is, that muerto there uses that and works with those bilongos. There are many. With those sticks, with those mataris, with those minerals, with everything that people put in gangas. There are treaties, there are things that are done. They just not put any stick, any rock, and it's not like that. I'm just speaking like this, just throwing things out there. The muerto takes the personification of that main source, that main power. And that's not saying that there are not other natural and metaphysical things that we do and we use and we implement in our candangos, quindembos, and gangas, and kisis, receptacles, parcels, whatever you want to call it. Not everybody has a steel pot. Not everybody puts every single, let's say, empungo in a steel pot. Certain ramas use clay pots for certain empungos. Some of them use clay pots for all of them. Some of them use steel pots for all of them. Is it wrong? Well, some will argue that there are certain trees, and the reason why they have to be put in certain receptacles is because of certain things that I can't speak about. And one of them, I'm only going to say, is Shetejayo, that you will hear a lot. That's just one that I'm going to speak, that I'm just going to mention there. That there are some ramas that use a different parcel, not a steel parcel. Okay. So let's understand that this is not an Orisha. This is not a saint. This is not a god. This is not a demigod. This is a force of nature that's introduced in that Nkisi, in that Enganga, in that parcel, that the spirit that abides in there takes on or uses that force, acts upon that force, represents that force. When it does something, whether it be for good or for bad, is doing it in a form or in a manner that represents that force of nature. That when you look at that force of nature, you say, and you send your spirit out to do something, is doing it in that manner. Just look at it that way for you can understand. You hear, right, that in Nkisi Malongo, in Palo, let's say, as the years go by and you have your Enganga, little by little you start putting different things in it. So whether it's bilongos, whether it's some type of tools, something that your muerto wants you to put in that Enganga. And the reason why your muerto wants you to put that in that Enganga, because your muerto needs that to understand, to use, to manipulate that thing that you put there gives that enfumbe, that muerto, the representation, the animistic idea of what he is going to use, that animistic idea to do whatever you send out to do. Like I said in some videos way back, if you get a hammer is for construction work. They also use it in mechanics to bang things out. They use it to nail on things. They use it to rip things apart. But you give that hammer, or you get a person that's not good up there in the mind, or loses its wits, right? That same hammer, that person could use it to kill someone, right? And commit an atrocity, commit murder. With a hammer that wasn't built for that. The hammer was not built for you to kill somebody with it, or an animal or anything. The hammer was built for construction and certain other things to work with. But you take that hammer and you ask your Nkisi, can I introduce the head or this hammer in here? And the reason why I want to put it in here is I want this to represent a certain action. And Nkisi says, yes. And you put that hammer in there, giving that Nkisi, when I say Nkisi, that spirit, that muerto, telling it, why are you putting this here for? And what actions does this hammer do that you want that spirit to use the same way they use a hammer to strike, to nail, to kill, to stomp, to construct, to deconstruct? That's symbology for that spirit to say, I got you. Okay. The way that hammer is and what that hammer does, and the all different ways you can use a hammer, I got you. I know now what you're talking about. But you leave it there. Because now you put it in the Nkisi. Now you gave that idea of what that hammer represents and what could it be used for. And now that Nkisi, when you need to, could use that hammer as a representation of what you want to hammer down. For good, for bad. You know, these are things that a lot of people don't speak about. because, you know, people don't want to, they consider these things secrets. They are tratados that you don't speak about. But something so simple, you have to explain. Because if not, everybody else that's initiated that doesn't have the knowledge you might have, or the understanding you might have, you don't give them the ability for them to receive something and understand it and really comprehend it and say, oh wow, I didn't look at it this way. Oh, I didn't know that. I wasn't taught this way. No, you respect the way you was taught, but just analyze. Listen, I'm not saying do what I'm telling you to do. I'm not saying look at the stuff the way I look at it. I'm just saying use intellect, use wisdom. See if you can understand where I'm coming from. Don't break your rama, whatever you do. Have a great day. Be safe. Salam alaikum, alaikum salam. Starting today, whoever buys the practice board that I have out for sale, the Enganga Bisinsu practice boards, whoever buys them starting from today until May the 10th, I'm gonna do a raffle. The raffle are gonna be the people who buy the board, the Enganga Bisinsu practice board. That goes very well with Tata Matamba's book, The Scrolls of Time. Whoever buys the Enganga Bisinsu boards from me, starting today until midnight, May the 10th, which is a Saturday, that's going to be the closing date. After that, they're not going to be receiving what I'm about to tell you. I'm going to do a raffle with the people that buy the Enganga Bisinsu practice board starting today until May the 10th. Those people, I'm going to write their names down and do a raffle. And I'm going to let you guys know the date that I'm going to make the raffle. And I'm going to put it out. And whoever wins that raffle is going to win a new book that hasn't been put out yet by Tata Matamba. That's going to be put out. They're going to receive that new book by Tata Matamba. It's a collaboration. If you guys do not know, Tata Matamba is my godfather. Hopefully you knew that. Tata Matamba is my godfather, and it's a collaboration with him. He gave me this license to do this, and that's what I'm gonna do. The people that buy the Enganga Bisinsu practice board starting today until May the 10th midnight, that's the clothesline. I'm gonna write everyone's name down. They bought it. I'm gonna put their name in a raffle, and whoever wins the raffle is gonna win a book that's not out yet, and it's going to be on sale after that date by Tata Matamba, one of his new books that he's just finished writing. So if I was you, I would take advantage, because the book it's not expensive, but it's not going to be cheap neither. So I just want to leave it like that. Salam alaikum, alaikum salam. You guys can email tatazongo21@yahoo.com. tatazongo21@yahoo.com. $35. It's what I'm selling the practice boards for. Shipped to your house. If I was you, I would take advantage. Not because I want to sell you the practice boards, It's because the book is worth more. Because of the knowledge that it has and the worth. So this is from me and Tata Matama to you guys. Hope those that are interested and want to learn more do their due diligence and get the book. You know, get the practice boards, because whoever wins that book is not going to be disappointed. Be safe, guys. Assalamu alaikum, alaikum salam.